Good evening, folks. My name is Engineer Umanyang, and in collaboration with the Pipa Networks, I bring to you the continuation of HTML Crash Course for Beginners, and this is HTML Crash Course for Beginners Part 4 of 5. And it's a continuation of the HTML course which we started, and today we are going to continue from where we left, and it's a continuation of what we didn't do in the other tutorial. And by the end of this tutorial, or by the end of this session, you should be able to work confidently with HTML without any problem, because almost I have covered 90%, I can say 80% of the entire HTML course. So I just want to take you through the practical approach of HTML so that you can understand HTML in practical approach, such that you have the practical part and the theory part, so that you learn as your hands are on practice. So today I have this is what I had last time, and this is I can say my source code for what we did last time. And I say that when you want to view the source code, if you want to view a source code of a document, any web page, you can view the source code by simply right clicking, then you go to view source code. When you do that, then you should be able to view a source code of a web page. So when you compare this and this, actually it's the same thing, since HTML is a markup language and it's processed on the browser. That's the reason why you are able to view a source code of a HTML document. So in our today's session, I'll clear everything so that we can continue, and we are continuing with tags that we didn't learn in our last tutorial. And by the end of this session, I should have handled all the tags that you'll be using most very often. So I'll just delete everything and save and create that space, and do this also, and refresh. So when I refresh, everything is cleared. I realized that there are some tags that I didn't tackle, and one was under one of the tags that I didn't discuss or tackle last time was the select tag. Select tag, we have the style tag, and more are coming. We have the I tag. I think we discussed the I tag. We have the nav tag. We have another tag, and in addition to these tags, we are going to dig more into tag attributes. So if you didn't capture anything about the tag attributes, we are going to add some more tag attributes today, so that you can know what necessarily we are going to work with. And I'm just going to add input tag. I'm going to add input tag again. Now, if I start with the select tag, select tag is normally used inside a form. Yes, so you can have something that you need people to select options. Yeah, you have predefined options that you need a user to select. So if you want to use the select tag, you'll come here and open select, and inside this select is a parent tag. Then we have a child tag called option. Yes, so we have a child tag called options. We can have as many children tags as possible inside a parent tag. So we have option, and I can say this is my county, and this is my location, and this is my estate. So when I refresh, and now when I preview what I have done, then you can see now, forget about this. You can see now we have the select tag here. We can select my estate, my county, and my location. So you can toggle and select what you need. All of them are under the select tag. Then we have, which is a parent tag, and the child tag we called option. So any select list you need should be under the parent tag select. And just to refresh our memory, we also had another tag called the label, and the label is used for labeling this tag select. We can now inform the user that select, we can ask the user that what place or which place, you can ask the user which place is your favorite. So we can ask the user that, and all that is under the label tag. So when I preview, then you can see that which place is your favorite. Then a user can select either county, uh, my location, or my estate. Forget about that, that's coming soon. Another tag, just to move on, is the style tag. You're going to use the style tag most often, and here the style tag, rarely do we use it. Rarely do we use it. We normally use style tag for inline CSS styling. CSS is a styling language called, or known in full as cascading style sheet. So cascading style sheet uh, is used for styling a web form or for styling a web page. So when we have this page, we can see it's ugly. And when we check on this, this is a login form which is already styled. And it's styled using CSS or the cascading style sheet. If I disconnect the style sheet or if I remove the style sheet, then this will appear very ugly the way you see this one here. The way you see this one here. So it has to be styled for it to look better. So if you want to do inline styling, we have the style tag which we normally put on top. So I'll just take this style tag and have it here just below the body tag, the body opening tag. We have this body opening tag and body closing tag. All of them are between the body. So just below the body opening tag, I'll have the style tag, and the style tag in between, I can now write my styles, and I'll be coming to that. So I can just say dot body, then I can give it dot body background color light, background color green. So that's a style, a CSS style styling. So just to check, so that I can explain what's happening. Now if I refresh the page, oh, I haven't saved. Body, I'll have it as body. I'll remove that, then I come and refresh. So now you can see I have added a CSS, which is added a styling to our web page. Now that's how we use the style tag. The style tag is used for inline styling, and we normally put it on top before, just after the body opening tag. Then we have the inline styling. Since nowadays we do discourage inline styling, and I'll explain that why if we'll start the CSS course or the CSS crash course for beginners, and that's how we use the style tag. That's the only place you'll use the style tag. Nowadays, we normally attach a styling sheet like this. We just create a page with a .css extension. That's how we create a CSS file. The same way this is an HTML document and we have it as .html. In the CSS, we also have it as .css, and we'll just write purely CSS codes in another page. Then we connect them like this. This how we evade or we are killing this inline styling. We call it inline styling because the styling is in the document. And another way or another tag I think I explained yesterday was the script, which the script the script tag is used for JavaScript for inline, also inline JavaScript. So inline JavaScript, I'll just take this and have it on the bottom. So the CSS is normally placed on top just after the body opening tag, while the script tag is normally placed on bottom just before the closing body tag. That's the difference between the script and the style tag. I explained much or I talked much about the script tag in the last tutorial, how we do with the script tag. Same with the script tag, you can see the type is text JavaScript, and the style tag, the type is text CSS. So meaning that the information that you are loading or you are writing here, they are CSS styles. The same to the link tag, you can see that we have the type as the text CSS. This you can see is written type name. We call these attributes. Yes, we call them tags attributes, and every tag have its own attribute. If you are working with a form input and know that select is also a form input, any input must have an attribute name, and this attribute name is the way you will identify this tag. So if you name this, then we'll use it to identify this tag. Let me explain much about name after talking about the input tag. The input tag, I talked much about it in the last tutorial, and the input type that I had forgotten one was called search. Input type search. So input type search is used for creating a search box. I hope you know what a search box is. So when I do that and I refresh, then this a search box. I can now add a button just beside it and I connect it to the search box. But this input field will be treated as a search box. And just on going back to the attribute name or to the name attribute, every input or every tag should have a name if it's a tag that appear inside a form. Most tags here are used inside a form. So the label, select, input are used inside a tag, and option, they are child tags of select. Script, this is used for inline JavaScript, while JavaScript is a programming language, and while style is used for inline CSS or the cascading style sheet, which is a styling language. Nav tag. Nav tag is used for a navigation bar. Any website or any web application will have a navigation bar. So if you can check, I can give you an example of what I have here of a project I'm working on here. You can see this is what we call a navigation bar. So all this, everything between here and here, they were placed inside a nav tag. Yes, so you use a nav tag for a navigation bar if you want to create a navigation bar. And I believe more tags are coming, and I'll just switch to attributes so that very common attributes that you'll be using. And the first attribute I've said is name, input type search, and this input type, the attributes, the input tag. We have the input tag. The attributes, it can have one. It can have the attribute ID. So we have something called ID, and we have something called class. We have something called, yes, we can work with that for now. ID class is used for grouping elements such that you can style them, or maybe you can use them for another purpose, but most or the main reason why we do use class is to classify elements for styling. So when I have this class, yes, I have this class. Let me just disconnect this styling I had here. If I had this class, I can say that this input type have the name, my search, and I give it the class search1, or I can give it the name search, any name you like. I can give it the ID search. So what we have here is that the name, I said it's used to identify this input tag such that when we will be submitting this input tag inside a form, then you can only submit a form for processing, and these are the contents of a form or the tags used inside a form. So the input tag, if you want to learn more about form, check the last tutorial, which is tutorial 3 of 5. Input tag search, the name is my search, which is to identify the ID. It and the class, it can help us for I can say customizing this input tag. The class, mostly it can assist us in styling this input tag. So when I want to style this tag, I can have it identified as such. Then I'll come to style, I'll have a dot, then I write this. So I'll just copy this, or I can write it and paste it here. Let me copy that and do it, paste here. So when I do that, we call this a class search. Then what do I need of a class search? I need the class search to have a color. I need it to have a color red. This is now CSS. I need it to have color red, and you end with a colon or a semicolon, sorry. And we want to say this search, we need it to have an what can we have on it? We have color red, and font size. Yes, you can say we need to have font size. No, it can't have a color. It can't have that color red. And let's check what's necessary for it. We have color red. We want to have it to have a line height. Yes, a line height of maybe 15 pixels. I would worry not about that. I'm just showing you how we do use the class. And when I preview, remember that I removed this. I removed the styling I had for over the whole the body, the whole of the body. So this is what it has done. So you can see that anything that I'll write is color red, and our input field is search. That's why you can see this. You can do that. You can search anything and clear. So it's of the input type search, and you can search. It can accept numbers, letters, any alphanumeric. You can accept any alphanumeric because you can search anything. And you can see it has changed the color to red. So it has customized that search has customized that input tag for styling. And ID, mostly we use IDs for JavaScript. IDs mostly help us in JavaScript, and for identifying also. It can be used for the same purpose as for CSS, when we can use it for also inline JavaScript. And if we can want to use this ID for this for styling, then whatever we'll do, we'll just come here and do this. We have a hash method and that, and do the same thing and say color blue. So I'll just comment this out in CSS. In CSS, this is how we comment out, and I want to comment it up to here, and to comment it up to here. So commenting helps in if you want to execute a certain line of code, but you don't want to delete it. You want it to be there, but it should not be executed. You want to see what will happen if I execute this code without this line. So you comment it out. That's the major importance of commenting. Or you can, if you want to comment, can be commenting in each line that this in HTML. This is how we comment. You have this greater sign, then we have an exclamation mark, then we have that this is double dash, then again double dash and closing. So your comment, and you'll say my comment is here. So this is how we comment in HTML. This is how we comment in HTML, and this is how we comment in CSS. We only have now one way of commenting in HTML, which is this. And now let me comment that out. The difference between the class will use a dot before the search, while the ID will use a hash sign. So hash, when you see this hash, I'll just know that this is an ID. If I see a dot, this is how we identify a class. We see this is a class. So when I refresh, note that now the color is going to be blue because I've commented this out. So the line of code will be executed without this, because it starts from up going down. And when I refresh now and I write, now you can see it's turning to blue because it's using the search. It's using this search. And when I want to uncomment it out, I just remove that and I just remove that. So if I do that, my question, I can ask you that which one will be commented? Will it be red or blue? The answer is it will be blue. Reason, the code is normally executed from top to bottom. So it will be executed to red, then it will be changed to blue. So that's the final result will be blue. And when we check, let's just refresh. And when I check, you can see it's blue. So worry not about CSS. At the end of HTML, now we'll be handling CSS, and CSS is very simple, and it's only in 3 lessons or 3 sessions, and we should be done with CSS. Now I just want to take you through a random overview of now what to expect. How are these codes normally arranged? Because you can't be throwing tags anywhere you want. Yeah, you can't be throwing tags. You have to order them. If you want to use them, you have to use them in an orderly way. And I say that everything should appear in between a tag. If you write in something outside a tag, then it will appear, it will be appear in the web page disorganized. So you need to know what you want to write and which tag is suitable for it so that you can place it inside or between a tag. For the input tag, one of the attributes again, I talked yesterday of disabled. Disabled. Uh, Today I want to give you another one. I've given you class ID in name. Another attribute we have for the input tag, mostly it's usually for the input tag, we have read only. Read only works as disabled, meaning that you can't type anything. Another one that we have, autocomplete. You can see them, autocomplete, autofocus. It's very easy to understand. They are very easy to understand. Autocomplete, meaning it will be completing. Autofocus, what we call focus, autofocus. Uh, Let me just leave it blank so that you can understand what's focus. If you can see whatever this thing is doing here, or this cursor is doing here, the line like cursor, it's focusing. Whatever this is focusing. If we click inside this box, then we are focusing. So that's what we call auto focus. So when we want to remove it, then we'll just come here and say autofocus off. And uh, we can say also autocomplete so that it doesn't complete. Autofocus off. Then we can also add another attribute. Okay, let's see how autofocus works. How if it's working. So autofocus off. So it will not focus automatically. So when I do that, then you can see there is no focus. There is no focus. So that's how the autofocus attributes work. Another one, the disabled. Since it has disabled, that's why we can't even focus inside. Disabled disables writing inside the box, while read only also disables writing and also disables copying, something like that. You can't copy this. You can't do that. You can't do that. Or how do you call that? Highlight. You can't highlight. Yes. So it's only read only. It's read only text. So we will add the attribute read only. You can use both of them. You can use any of them. Disabled read only. Autofocus is it disables that focus. Autocomplete, it disables autocomplete, such that when somebody wants to log in, maybe you want to log in a certain web page such like this, and when you do this, you see these options coming. So to disable that, you come to this uh, input tag and you write auto complete off, because maybe it's focusing, yet it's giving data which is not necessary to that input. So it can give you, provided you call this a name and a password, it will, any form you will go, it will autofill this name and password if you have them. So to disable that, we come and we do this. So I want to take you through a practical approach and you understand these tags in action. And I just want to give you one of my projects so that you can see, and you can see how it works. So this form, I said we can view its source code, and viewing its source code, this is an active form that's working for a certain project. And when I log in, I can access the inside contents, and soon we'll be going into that. So when I view page source of the form, then it's supposed to open me a page source of this form, how everything was organized. Now you can see the HTML language is English, head, the meta tag character set to UTF-8, uh, meta tag HTTP equivalent X compatible content, Internet Explorer, age, then the viewpoint. If you don't know or if you don't understand whatever I'm saying, check the first tutorial, that's part 1 of 5. I explained everything. Meta tag, name, description, author, I can write my name as an author here, title, that, then linked CSS, you can see here, rel style sheet, Then script, you can see I'm explaining about that. If the script tag, you say that we do use it for mostly for inline JavaScript, but we can also use it for we can also use it for attaching or for linking JavaScript files or for linking JavaScript scripts. So the same way we use the link tag, we use the script tag. So the difference between the link tag and the script tag, the link tag, just like the style tag, just like I explained in the style tag, the style tag we put it on top just before the body. The script tag we put it on the bottom just before the end of body. If we want to link a style sheet or we want to link an CSS document file, then we link it with a link, and rel we define it as style sheet, then text CSS, then we write the link to that style sheet wherever it is or whichever direction it is. If we want to link JavaScript, we normally link JavaScript at the bottom before the body tag. I think I explained that in the last tutorial. So we linked it to the bottom just before body tag, but the style sheet or the link sheet, we link it above the body tag. So this we link above the body, and this we link below the body but before the end of the body. So the script appears inside the body, but the style link for linking style sheet appears outside the body. If we want JavaScript, I told you the problem of having JavaScript on top is that the JavaScript will be executed, and after it will be executed, then nothing will happen. If you have JavaScript codes inside here, nothing will happen because it has already been executed. That's why we normally put it on the bottom. And when we have JavaScript on top, there are sometimes that we'll need some JavaScript on top, and if it's some JavaScript on top, meaning it's JavaScript that we need to be executed or we need them to load fast, then we can place it on top. But what happens if we need this? We just need this JavaScript on top. Yes, we can say we just need this JavaScript on top. That's how I need it. If I say that I need this JavaScript on top, yes, like that, I'll say text JavaScript, then I define the source. This is an attribute src, and I define the source of that JavaScript file. I can say it's under the folder called assets. Then the file is called script.js. The JavaScript files have the JS extension. CSS have the CSS extension. So what about if I only need that JavaScript to be on top outside the body? Whatever we normally do, we say defer. We add the attribute defer. So when we add the attribute defer, then this JavaScript will be deferred, and meaning it will be delayed until the whole document loads for this script to be loaded. So instead, if maybe you want them to appear on top, then you can use defer. What about if this JavaScript appears inside here? What about if this JavaScript file linking appear inside here and you need it, but you need it to be executed fast? Because at times it might be here, but you need it to be executed fast, or you need the code to load fast as the page loads. If you need the code to load fast as the page loads, then we are going to but it appears inside the body, then we will use async. We use async if we need it to be, if we have it inside the body, but it's like the opposite. So instead of having it on top here, meaning that you need it to load fast, such as some jQuery files. jQuery is a JavaScript library. So if you need it on top here, but maybe it finds itself here, then you can use async, meaning that it will asynchronize with the page. But if you have it here, but you need it to load later, then you can use defer. And defer is an attribute. All this you can see marked in pink are attributes, or in purple they are purples, they are attributes. So back to our source code. Now you can see our head, body, class attribute. The class, this is a class. Now it's classifying everything below the body. So if you see here a class, then this class, any styling that will be done to this class, it will affect the entire body. ID, mostly we can also use it for styling in CSS, and mostly we use IDs in JavaScript. So uh, here it was maybe used in also in uh, CSS, but the function here I know it's so used for JavaScript. The difference between IDs and classes, we will find that, and we'll discuss much on CSS. The difference between an ID and a class, this ID and this class, did we remove it here? And this class, the ID and class can have the same name, worry not about that. The name, you can give any name that will help you recognize this tag, and not all tags have names. The only tags that we give names, and we give names, are tags that are used inside a form. But if it's a tag used inside a form, we are not going to give them a name. We are going to give them IDs and classes. Classes just to classify the tag. So if we have this, if we give a class to this body, we can say body class, and we say class, and we can call it maybe my body or my something, whatever we want to name it. Any styling that will do that, if you write color red, then the whole everything under the body will be color red. So it's classifying. Okay, the difference between a body, okay, a class and a ID. One is that classes, we can have many classes inside this class attribute. I can have my search, I can have I can have this search, can have that search, this search. So we have this search and ID. So we can have many classes. We can have my search. This class don't have a comma. Don't put a comma or don't put anything. Just leave a space, a white space. My search, this search. Or we have as many classes, but only ID. We only have one. We can't have search then this search. We only have one ID under the ID, but in the this was supposed to be under the class. This was supposed to be under class. So just leave a white space, then give the name. The ID, we only have one and one name of that ID, but classes we can have as many classes as possible under the class. So there's a way, and so you can decide if you see that you're going to have many IDs, then you can place them under the class. If you only have one, then you can use the ID. Back to my source code. That's why now we can see here div class container ID authentication content, that's one ID. If you can check on a class that has so many, yeah, class text center font weight light my 4 class form control py, all those are classes. All those are classes. So you can see where divs are used. Like I said, you can have as many divs as you can. Then we have the form. Check what is inside the form, the label and the input tag, the name, the class, the ID, placeholder. I discussed it in the last tutorial 3 or 5. You have the button which you used for styling, and all this, if it's styled, then it gives this. So this is a button, this is an input tag, this is a label, this is a label, and this can be a header, a h1, a h2, a h3, a h4, or a h5. It depends with the size you want. I discussed about the h or the header tag in the last tutorial. So you can see this is a h5, a header 5, which is giving this size called log in. So I'm going to end there, and if you have any question, you can post your question in the comment section. Post any question in the comment section, And if you haven't watched part 1, 2, 3, you can watch them. The link are in the description so that you can keep up with what we are doing. And by the end of this part 5, in part 5, mostly what we have will just give an introduction or an introduction to CSS in Java, introduction to some CSS attributes, such that you now understand, as I'll be introducing you to the CSS or the cascading style sheet. I beg to end there. Thank you for watching. If you like the video or if you like the tutorial, remember to give me thumbs up and recommend the video or the tutorial for others. You can share in your coding forums or in your programming forums to those who also want to learn, so that they can also get know something they didn't know. Thank you for watching. My name is Engineer Umanya. See you next time.